Assalamu alaikum students. This is my first lecture under the course World Literature in Translation. I have already shared my course outline with you, and here I'm going to start this course with Pakistani literature. Literature, as you know, is commonly refers to the work of creative imaginations, including poetry, drama, fiction, non-fiction, and in some instances, journalism and songs also. So, like all other literature, Pakistani literature has all the flavors, all genres to prove its credibility on global literary platform. So let's start our course with Pakistani literature. Students, Pakistani literature has very distinctive features from all other literature because of its ideology, because of its philosophy of life, because of its tradition, norms, and values that gained after the status of nationhood, that gained after the freedom, after independence in 1947, and emerging out of literary tradition of South Asia. So the shared tradition of Urdu literature and English literature of British India was inherited by this new state, Pakistan. And over a long time of period, a unique body of literature has emerged in almost all the major languages of Pakistan, like Urdu, Punjabi, Saraiki, Balochi, Pashto, Sindhi, and English as well. Although English is not the national language, but now it is a major language of Pakistan. And students, when we use this term Pakistani literature, then we mean English literature because the national language of Pakistan is Urdu, but the term Pakistani literature that has developed by the members of Pakistani diaspora who write in English language. And Dr. Alamgir Hashmi, an English poet of Pakistani origin, introduced the term Pakistani literature. Including Dr. Alamgir Hashmi, many other prominent poets like Ahmad Ali, Tawfiq Rifat, Daud Kamal, Makki Qureshi, Zulfikar Ghaus held a special place in South Asia for counting the new trends in literature. So the early success of Pakistani English poet was followed in fiction by the prose work written by Ahmad Ali, the author of famous novel Twilight in Delhi. And he is also the co-founder of the Progressive Writers Movement and Association. So there is a lot about to tell you Pakistani literature, but here I want you to read the articles written on Pakistani literature. Students, it is very important to discuss the context of Pakistani literature because this is not the context of a particular literature, a particular poem, but it is the context of Pakistani literature as a whole. And as we are going to study The Dawn of Freedom, Subhe Azadi by Faiz Ahmad Faiz. So it is very important to discuss the context of Pakistani literature, and this context will provide you the base of that poem as well. The nature of Pakistani literature soon after independence aroused controversy among writers, due to its being centered heavily on the negative events related to the independence movement. And that is why um, Faz Ahmad Faz is also considered as a controversial figure because of his work, because of his themes, because of his philosophy in literature. Faz Ahmad Faz is considered as a revolutionary poet, and if you will read his biography, then you will come to know that he is a person who is not having the positivity of independence movement or the freedom ideology. He is not favoring that freedom ideology of 1947. Unlike Faiz Ahmad Faiz, Saadat Hassan Manto, a prominent writer of short stories of South Asian literature, produced great literature out of the events related to the India-Pakistan independence, and his literature is considered to be progressive in its tone and spirit. But Faiz Ahmad Faiz is different in that sense. So, Pakistani literature, according to several critics, had not only evolved its own identity but also played a significant role in documenting the hardships and hopes of Pakistan in the later part of 20th century. And today, Pakistani literature has taken a shape of its own by depicting the complex class system and the common man. And the new thing which is very important to discuss, that Pakistani literature has evolved in merging Urdu literature from Urdu literature forms and English literature, leading to experiments as far as their language is concerned, as far as their themes are concerned, as far as their um, philosophy, ideology, language, each and everything, they are leading to new experiments, and this is a very productive uh, movement, a very productive sign in Pakistani literature. Today, we will study Dawn of Freedom, and this poem is actually composed by a legendary poet of Urdu language, Faiz Ahmad Faiz, with the title Subhe Azadi. And this poem is translated into English by Agha Shahid Ali. And here I'm going to share about Faz Ahmad Faz very briefly, because one slide is not enough for his introduction. And the reason is that Faz Ahmad Faz is very famous, a prominent figure in the subcontinent. He's not only the poet but an author and a journalist too. And he is a revolutionary poet. He is famous for his controversial themes, like themes of theme of love, beauty, and other themes. And eventually, his poetry took a turn and started tackling grand subject, the the social and political issues. So he started writing on that aspect, and that created a problem for him. So I'm not going deep down in that aspect, but Faz Ahmad Faz is a man of wide experience, having been a teacher, an army officer, a trade unionist, a broadcaster, and so he has the wide experience of every aspect of life. He has experienced that stark realities. He has experienced some cruel situations. So that added in his experience. And uh, as I told you in the first slide, in the introductory slide, that Faz Ahmad Faz is considered a legendary poet of Urdu language, and the other languages like Persian,
Hindi, Russian, English, Punjabi, Arabic also earned fame for him. And the notable work of Faz Ahmad Faz are Subh Azadi, which we are going to read now, and Naqsh Faryad, Daste Saba, Zindan Nama. And honors and awards of Faz Ahmad Faz are the first one is Nigar Award, and the second one is Lenin Peace Prize, and the third one is Nishane Imtiaz. And one thing that I want to share is that he has been nominated 4 times for Nobel Prize for Literature. So that is it for the introduction of Faz Ahmad Faz. In this slide, I'm going to discuss a very brief introduction of the dawn of freedom because in detail we will study in the next slides. So here I just want to give you an overview of the poem The Dawn of Freedom. The Dawn of Freedom is a remarkable poem and it is regarded as a masterpiece in the history of poetic genre. It is noted because of its prose style, because of its theme, because of its subject that is based on the disappointments, anguish, critical atmosphere at that time. So it is the masterpiece in the history of poetic genre. And secondly, it was written in August 1947, shortly after the division of subcontinent into Pakistan and India. So this poem depicts the subject of independence, its effects and expectations, especially that are regarded an independent state, and also this poem presents the hurdles, the miseries that was faced by the people to reach to their dawn of freedom, to reach their destination, to reach that dawn that is full of new life, that is full of new ideology. So, this poem primarily revolves around the issues, the poet's sentiments, and the emotions about those people who migrated from one country to another, leaving their native places. And the overall tone of this poem is desolate and melancholic, and as I told you that this poem is based on the disappointments and anguish and the critical and cruel situation of partition, the bloody chapter of partition. So each stanza of this poem describes different aspects of partition and different aspects of their expectations as well, uh, the expectations which they had in their mind when they left their native places. So, in this slide, I'm going to discuss the subject matter of the poem The Dawn of Freedom. First of all, this poem is a tribute to most bloody chapter in the history of subcontinent. So, Dawn of Freedom as a poem aims to unveil the hidden realities and all alluring dreams which were formed on the basis to make people believe in the separate state. The reason is that the poet Faz Ahmed Faz is not totally convinced about that freedom movement. So Faz's point of view about freedom and his ideology about freedom is very different from rest of the people and from the rest of the leaders as well. So according to him, freedom is not merely about separation of borders, but it is the name of constant struggle. His ideology is different. That is why he expresses his emotional pains, sadness, desolation, pessimism, and distress feelings about that cost which we paid for this freedom. So the reason maybe is that FAS foresees the future difficulties and impediments which people will have to face after independence. So the poem illustrates the unpleasant situation which poet experienced during partition. So poet insists that the final destination is the start of hardships. And throughout poem, poet aims to make people aware of approaching surprises in the form of broken promises. And the poem ends with the message to continue the struggle as the apparent destination is still the illusion and the promised dawn is yet to achieve.
The title of the poem is very important, Subhe Azadi, the dawn of freedom. If we see the word dawn, dawn is basically an old English verb, dangian, and it means to become a day. And dawn is basically the time that marks the beginning of twilight before sunrise. So, dawn means the first appearance of the daylight in the morning. And symbolically, if we see, then dawn can have most of the meaning generally associated with light, and it also indicates the meaning of enlightenment, vitality, hopes, new life. And particularly dawn is the emerge of new stage of life, a new understanding, a new start, and a new hope that emerges from confusion and hopelessness. So here, in this poem, the poet admits that although he has been waiting for the dawn for the long time, but this is not the same dawn. Here, the title is ironic. Here, the title is contrast with the positive thoughts that is associated with dawn, the word dawn, and the word freedom. So the poem is based on a very contrastive point of view. So the poet says that this is not the same dawn that filled with brightness, sense of security, and victory. So the poem, The Dawn of Freedom, August 1947. It is the complete title of the poem, and this title suggests the false dawn of independence, the betrayal of the ideas of the movement to gain freedom, dignity, and economic justice. And this title also captures the feeling of desolation, of independence, and partition. So the dawn of freedom that reflect uh, a positivity in itself. But here the title is positive, but it is ironic because the poem is not based on the positive thoughts. The poem is not based on a very hopeful thoughts, but we can say that it is a lament over the crucial situation of bloody period, of bloody partition period.
Before translation, I want to share the original poem by Faiz Ahmed Faiz. सुबह आज़ादी अगस्त 1947। ये दाग दाग उजाला, ये शब गजीदा सहर, वो इंतजार था जिसका, ये वो सहर तो नहीं, ये वो सहर तो नहीं जिसकी आरज़ू लेकर चले थे यार कि मिल जाएगी कहीं ना कहीं। फलक کے دشت میں تاروں کی آخری منزل، کہیں تو ہوگا شب سست موج کا ساحل، کہیں تو جا کے رکے گا سفینہ غم دل، جمع لہو کی پر اسرار شاہراہوں سے چلے جو یار تو دامن پہ کتنے ہاتھ پڑے، دیار حسن کی بے صبر خواب گاہوں سے پکارتی رہیں باہیں بدن بلاتے رہے، بہت عزیز تھی لیکن رخ سحر کی لگن، بہت قریب تھا حسینان نور کا دامن، سبک سبک تھی تمنا دبی دبی تھی تھکن، سنا ہے ہو بھی چکا ہے فراق ظلمت و نور، سنا ہے ہو بھی چکا ہے وصال منزل و گام، بدل چکا ہے بہت اہل درد کا دستور، نشاط وصل حلال و عذاب و ہجر حرام، جگر کی آگ نظر کی امنگ دل کی جلن، کسی پہ چارہ ہجراں کا کوئی اثر ہی نہیں، کہاں سے آئی نگار صبا کدھر کو گئی، ابھی چراغ سرے راہ کو کچھ خبر ہی نہیں، ابھی گرانی شب میں کمی نہیں آئی، نجات دیدہ و دل کی گھڑی نہیں آئی، چلے چلو کہ وہ منزل ابھی نہیں آئی۔ And now the translation by Agha Shahid Ali, Freedom's Dawn. These tarnished rays, this night smudged light, this is not that dawn for which ravished with freedom we had set out in sheer longings, so sure that somewhere in its desert the sky harbored a final heaven for the stars, and we would find it. We had no doubt that night's vagrant wave would stray towards the shore, and that heart, rocked with sorrow, would at last reach its port. Friends, our blood shaped its own mysterious roads. When hands tugged at our sleeves, enticing us to stay, and from wondrous chambers sirens cried out, with their beguiling arms, with their bare bodies. Our eyes remained fixed on that beckoning dawn, forever vivid in her muslins of transparent light. Our blood was young, but could hold us back. This is the second part of the poem Freedom's Dawn, translated by Agha Shahid Ali. So the textual lines are: now listen to the terrible rampant lie. Light has forever been severed from the dark. Our feet, it is heard, are now one with their goal. See our leaders polish their manner clean of our suffering. Indeed, we must confess only to bliss. We must surrender any utterance for the beloved. All yearning is outlawed. But the heart, the eye, the yet deeper heart, still ablaze for the beloved, their turmoil shines. In the lantern by the road, the flame is stalled for news. Did the morning breeze ever come? Where has it gone? Night weighs us down, is still weigh us down. Friends, come away from this false light. Come, we must search for the promised dawn.
Here I'm going to start the analysis of the poem, and the most interesting thing for you and for me as well is that I will also read the Urdu lines side by side with English translation. So the line number 1 and 2, ये दाग दाग उजाला ये शब गजीदा सहर, वो इंतजार था जिसका, ये वो सहर तो नहीं. So the translation of these lines are: these tarnished rays, this night smudged light, this is not that dawn for which ravished with freedom. So the first line completely contrasting the title, as I have discussed before, that the title is ironic. So the first line indicates and negates the apparent beauty of dawn. The dawn of freedom, dawn, a symbol of new day, new life, but the first line contrasts the idea of newness. Poet believes in new dawn, but that dawn is not full of life but appears with smudged light. Because morning rays are still under the influence of night. Night has captured that morning rays. Night has influenced the morning. Still, morning is in influence with the night. So these days does not bring the new hope for the people. So poet calls these rays tarnished rays, which are dull and pessimistic for the people who are believing in new life. So the second line, this is not that dawn for which ravished with freedom. Here the poet totally negates the beauty of, of dawn and presents a bitter lamentation over the false dawn of independence. He presents here his critical views about the betrayal of ideas which which the freedom of movement was based on. So the freedom of movement is basically based on the idea of dignity and economic justice. So from the starting, the poet knows and he observes the desolate and the pessimistic condition of all the subcontinent, including the people, the migrant people. So he is very worried and he is very much, you can say, he is very upset about the condition, about all the condition of people, makes him upset and makes him pessimistic. So giving the very positive title of Freedom of Dawn, and from the very first line the poet is very desolate about 1947 partition and the independence movement. In this slide, the line number 3, 4, and 5, and the Urdu poetry is: ये वो शहर तो नहीं जिसकी आरज़ू लेकर चले थे यार कि मिल जाएगी कहीं ना कहीं फलक के दश्त में तारों की आखिरी मंजिल. And its English translation is: we had set out in sheer longing, so sure that somewhere in its desert the sky harbored a final heaven for the stars, and we would find it. Here you can feel the contrast of situation, that what poet is expecting and what he is facing. So the poet is very much in desolate condition about his journey, and he lament over the cruel situation that destroys their expectations about new dawn. He discusses his expectations that They set out their journey for new hopes and for new survival, for new life where we all will be together. And he says that he expect the morning will be filled with brightness and he will find heaven on earth. So here we can say that the poet is exposing the real condition, exposing the stark realities about the freedom movement by contrasting their expectations about the dawn of freedom and what they are facing now, where even the sky does not seem to be favorable, where the stars are quiet and does not shine to enhance their strength, to give them hope. And poet says that he expects that morning of freedom will be filled with brightness, a sense of security and victory, but it is not so. He resembles the hope of finding peaceful place to live with the hope of finding water in desert or finding the last group of stars before rising sun. So his claiming of sky as desert is dejecting, which shows that he is worried for his country's miserable condition, and he is worried about the condition of migrants. Here, line number 6 and 7. First of all, in Urdu, the lines are: कहीं तो होगा शबे सुस्त मौज का साहिल, कहीं तो जाके रुकेगा सफीनाए गमे दिल. And its English is: we had no doubt that night's vagrant wave would stray towards the shore, and the heart rocked with sorrow would at last reach its port. Now, students, do you feel the change in the tone of poet? The mood of the poet is changed here from desolation to hope, from pessimism to optimism. So he is now optimistic for his future in these lines. Uh, as he says, "कहीं तो होगा, कहीं तो जाके रुकेगा." It means he is feeling near future, uh, uh, that his sorrows will be end and the night's vagrant wave would stray towards shore. The word night's vagrant wave, vagrant means the unsettlers, the wanderers, and stray means move aimlessly. So here he is. This line indicates the people who are migrating from India to Pakistan or from Pakistan to India. So he is feeling pain for them, that they are like night's vagrant wave and they would finally find their destination soon. So the poet is optimistic here. And the next line is that the heart rocked with sorrow would at last reach its port. So here uh, you can say that the poet is saying Safina Ghame Dil. Safina is means ship, and here the poet is saying that the heart of the poet is rocked with sorrow. It means his heart is full of sorrow and it is hardened with the sorrows, and he's saying that the time is near when his sorrows will be vanished. And Safina Ghame Dil, Safina is the ship, and he will that ship will definitely find its port. Line number 8 and 9. First in Urdu and then I'll translate it in English. जमा लहू की पुरस्रार शाहराओं से चले जो यार तो दामन पे कितने हाथ पड़े. And its translation is: friends are blood shaped its own mysterious roads, when hands tugged at our sleeves and touching us to stay. Here, poet uses the word Jamalahu, because for the magnificent cause or movement, fresh blood is needed. It is considered more worthy than others. Fresh blood enhance the worth of that movement, that cause, and poet is saying that in that mysterious road which ravished their aims with tarnished rays. So the first idea that is about the bloodshed, that it is the jamalahu, it is the fresh blood which is needed for the cause, which is needed for the worth of that movement. And secondly, the mysterious road. The roads are mysterious because um, they are ravished with the aims, with its tarnished rays. And I am relating that mysterious road with the first line, that roads are mysterious and they are not the brightening roads. These roads are mysterious. Secondly, the bloodshed also makes the road mysterious. Now see the second line: when hands tugged at our sleeves and touching us to stay. That it means that someone pull you hardly or suddenly, and here we can say that the poet is talking about the hindrances, the uh, the obstacles present on that mysterious road. Tug them to stay back means they tries to stop the Muslim to stay back and don't follow that mysterious road. And another idea that came into my mind is that it also suggests that the sacrifices and mourning of the people over death. Maybe we can say that there would be a, a death of a person, and that created that situation or that road, a mysterious road that people do not know their aim or direction after that death, and the people are tugging them, people are pulling them or and touching them to stay here, not to go forward, not to go backward, and there is a condition of haphazardness there. This is another aspect of interpretation, so it's up to you. And I put line number 10 and 11 here in this slide because I want to create a link between these lines. So line number 10 is दियारे हुस्न की बेसब्र ख्वाबगाहों से पुकारती रही बाहें बदन बुलाते रहे. And its English translation is, and from wondrous chamber sirens cried out with their beguiling arms, with their bare bodies. Here the poet is mesmerizing the beauty of his land, and he used he put the idea like Diyare Husn. So he's still listening the sirens of that wondrous chamber, and he's attracted towards that wondrous chambers as anyone is attracted towards the diamond market or the red light area. So here the poet has used the reference of that red light area or the diamond market as the wondrous chambers, and the poet is still listening to that sirens, as if they that chambers are calling him, and he is attracted towards his native land. He's attracted towards his native land as if someone is attracted towards that wondrous chambers, towards that red light area. So here this is very interesting and very deep connection of the native land with that wondrous chambers. So so we can also connect line number 8 and 9 with 10, 11 with the mysterious road of that wondrous chambers and the sirens. It could be the siren of death. So all the roads are mysterious towards that wondrous chambers and the sirens and the beguiling arms and the bare bodies. These are also related with the idea of the situation is haphazard. So we can also connect all these four lines uh, to only one aspect. So it's up to you. Line number 12 and 13. बहुत अजीज थी लेकिन रुखे सहर की लगन, बहुत करीं था हसीना ने नूर का दामन. And its translation is, our eyes remained fixed on that beckoning dawn, forever vivid in her muslins of transparent light. So here again, poet is focusing uh, the importance of their cause, the freedom movement, that what he was expecting about that dawn, freedom, the dawn of freedom, and what he is facing. But still, he says that that morning, that uh, dawn of freedom is still very important for him, is still very dear to him, because he was expecting this morning a sign of freedom, a sign of hope, and that is full of brightness. But it is not so. But still, he is waiting for that dawn. His eyes are fixed on that beckoning dawn. Excuse me. And again, he presents the contrast between his expectations and reality. That how his eyes was fixed on that beckoning dawn, poet is still enchanted with the beauty of his land, where he is feeling himself a part of his land. So here he uses the word beckoning dawn, means he is still part of that freedom movement, and he is feeling as if that dawn, that freedom of dawn, is beckoning them, calling them. So he says that that dawn of freedom will be vivid, will be so clear, and even though that dawn will never be smudged with that tarnished rays which he discussed in the start of the poem. And the next line, line number 14, is सुबक सुबक थी तमन्ना दबी दबी थी थकन. Here the translation is, our blood was young but could hold us back. So here our blood is young. It indicates the emotional sense of cause. That poet here discusses his wish that is still unfulfilled, but they have to move. They have to move forward. So there is nothing which hold him back because he has burned the boat behind. So here there is another interpretation of our blood was young. There is another interpretation of this phrase. This indicates the future of generation, that fresh blood is leading that movement, and there is nothing left behind. So there is nothing left behind their native land that can hold them back. So here the poet is accepting the reality, accepting the situation, accepting that freedom movement, and he's saying that he has to move forward with all the migrants, and his eyes are still fixed on that freedom, on that dawn of freedom that is beckoning them all. Line 15-16 in Urdu. सुना है हो भी चुका है फिराके जुल्मतो नूर, सुना है हो भी चुका है विसाले मंजिलो गाम. And its translation in English is, now listen to the terrible rampant lie. Light has forever been severed from the dark. Our feet, it is heard, are now one with their goal. Here, the poet is creating difference between the reality and his expectations. He suggests that the decision, like he says, "Suna hai ho bhi chuka," that decision of a partition has been done about their future, and that decision is not reality based, that is based on false and rampant lies. So here poet says that the decision of partition is as if they create difference between zulmato noor, between light and dark, but actually what poet feels, uh, that the decision is false, and it is baseless. And he says that the dawn of freedom does not create the difference between Zulmat and Noor. According to the poet, that this is the terrible, rampant lie. And secondly, the poet says that we also heard that our feet are in right path to achieve our goal, but that is again a rampant lie, and the poet is seeing a totally opposite side of the picture. Now, line number 17 and 18. बदल चुका है बहुत अहले दर्द का दस्तूर, निशाते विस्ले हलाल ओ अजाब हिजरे हराम. I repeat the line. बदल चुका है बहुत अहले दर्द का दस्तूर, निशाते वस्ले हलालो अजाब हिजरे हराम. I think now it is right. Okay, the translation is, see our leaders polish their manners clean for our sufferings. Indeed, we must confess only to bliss. We must surrender any utterance for the beloved. All yearning is outlawed. Here again, poet is criticizing the present situation where it is said that everything is changed with the change of borders and the way leaders behave with each other. First, they behave as if they are competitors. Now they polish their ways, and with that, we, the migrants, start suffering, and that suffering indeed leads to bliss. Not in a sense that the blissful state, the heavenly state, which is decided for us, but the poet is thinking differently. He says that we must surrender our utterance for the beloved land, the promised land where we find heaven on earth, and all yearning is outlawed. This again indicates that what is happening at partition time shows everything is fair in love and war. Secondly, it also suggests that the time there is no law is active at that time, just the law of forest, the law of jungle, the law of brutality, the law of violence. So poet sees the misery of migrants, and the in return to that blissful land, migrants' sufferings leads them to real heaven. Maybe the poet is thinking about the real heaven, but he is not seeing any positivity in this present situation. Now, line number 19 and 20. जिगर की आग, नजर की उमंग, दिल की जलन, किसी पे चाराए हिजरा का कुछ असर ही नहीं. And its translation in English: but the heart, the eye, the yet deeper heart, still ablaze for the beloved, their turmoil shines. In the lantern by the road, the flame is stalled for news. So here, the poet is saying uh, his inner feelings, and you will feel that before that the poet was extrovert. He was discussing the external factors, the external environment, and now the poet is introvert and he is discussing his inner situation, his heart feelings, and he says that his heart is feeling, is burning uh, passionately, very fiercely, and the wishful eyes that reflects his deeper heart desire. Here he is personifying this land, his native land, with his beloved, and he's saying that his heart is burning with the feeling of his beloved, as if this land is his beloved and he is unable to leave his beloved. So normally it is said that eyes are windows of heart. So here the poet is combining the heart feeling, and the heart feeling is reflected through his wishful eyes, and he is saying that his wishful eyes reflects the intense burning for for his beloved. So a poet is yearning for his land in the same way as someone is yearning for his beloved. So in the next line, the poet says that in the lantern by the road, the flame is stalled for news. So poet sees same disturbance among the migrants that are present on the road, where people and migrants are gathered for the updates, for the news, and he is here portraying the time of decision, the time of announcement about partition, and people are gathered there. But the poet is feeling not good about that decision, and he is feeling as if his native land is his beloved, and his heart is burning with the passionate feeling about his land. Now, line number 21. कहाँ से आई निगारे सबा, किधर को गई. Its translation is: did the morning breeze ever come? Where has it gone? So here the poet is searching for that passion for new state, as if the poet is seeing that the people are passionate in the start, and when the sufferings come, so the people are vanished, their passions are vanished. So people's um, you can say that their interest has gone with the sufferings. So here, poet is searching for that passion for new state, and this rhetorical questions emphasizes that they find nothing. The migrants find nothing. The people find nothing from that breeze. Breeze. Here, the poet uses the word breeze, that again is the symbol of new hope, new life, and new wave of life and the spirituality, you can say.
Line number 23 and 24. अभी घरानिए शब में कमी नहीं आई, निजाते दीदा व दिल की घड़ी नहीं आई. And the English translation is: night weighs us down, it still weighs us down. Friends, come away from this false light. Here, the poet used the word night that symbolizes sufferings, hardships, obstacles, and here poet says that it brings the morale of migrants, the morale of that sufferers down day by day. And it is not that light which brings hope, happiness, and new life. So the poet is calling all the migrants, all the sufferers, that friends, come away from this false light, that you are going towards wrong direction. So finally, poet says that this is not their dream, this is false hope, false destination, and he is lamenting over false hopes and betrayal movement. So he portrays that night full of horror, and he says that this night is nothing ends but with sufferings and with false hopes. Now, line number 25. चले चलो कि वो मंजिल अभी नहीं आई. English translation is, come, we must search for the promised dawn. Here, the poet is beckoning all his followers, all the people, all the migrants to find for that promised land. He's saying that the people are on false hopes, that they are on right path to right direction, but actually it is not true. He says that the continuous struggle can fulfill our dream of restful dawn, a dawn without worries, a dawn without bloodshed and sorrows of losing hope, of losing our dear and near ones in wars. So he is beckoning all the followers, all the migrants, all the sufferers towards new light, towards the promised dawn, and towards the happiness.
Now it's time to give you a task. So, students, write a paragraph on the significance of this poem in the world literature. I'm not saying in Pakistani literature, but in world literature. The place of Faz Ahmad Faz and his work in world literature. So, this is your task. Thank you very much.